Folks, welcome to Town Hall and the Town Board meeting. This is a regular Town Board meeting session, which means we're taking action on items that were workshopped last week or a week or so ago. Councilman Moore is on vacation right now, so you've got the four of us, and if we could just ask Teresa Pugh to bring us into session officially, that'd be great.
Sure. Welcome to the town of Orangetown. This is the town board meeting of March 25th, 2014. On a roll call, Councilman Troy.
Present.
Councilman Divany.
Here.
Councilman Moore. Councilman Valentine.
Here.
Supervisor Stewart.
Here.
I ask that everyone please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim and I actually talked about discussing this a little bit next week, but our town clerk was so quick at getting things on the agenda. We have the announcement of the National Safe and Sustainable Snow Fighting Award. Jim, do you want to just say a word or two about what this award means?
Yes.
It's not the biggest snowball fight on the East Coast.
No. Actually, the award is presented by the Salt Institute, which is a national representative of salt manufacturers and salt users, both for food and for road salts. So I think this is the 17th year in a row that we've gotten an award from them for our storage. This year, they've actually increased it to cover the whole field of snow fighting, not just salt storage. And we filled in the applications and sent it in. Fortunately enough, we were considered 1 in 90 in the United States to receive the award.
So one of their only 90 highway departments that got the
90
award?
communities that got the award this year.
Wow. Well, that is
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
I'll send the press release for you.
I guess it's restricted to parts of the country that get snow, presumably.
Oh, it's snow, yeah. It
That
has to
still-
be. Yeah.
That leaves a lot of highway departments out there.
All parts of the country got snow this year.
Well, congratulations on that, and I know that you're conveying that message of recognition to all of your employees, but certainly from the town board as well. The work that our highway department has done in this fairly severe winter has been very impressive. We thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I'll make sure we pass it on
Absolutely.
to the people that are really doing the work.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just fooling around here. So thanks again for all that. We have a public comment period. Do we have a sign-in sheet? Yeah, I do. I just want to see what we got. So we're not that many people signed in. All right. We want to start out, Joe Moran, Commissioner of Environmental Management Engineering, wanted to address the board. We've had some ideas circulating around the management of the sewer treatment plant, and of course it's an ongoing project that the town and the employees and the town board have all worked on, but wanted to welcome Joe and make some comments to the board, filling us in on some of your perspectives on how the sewer treatment plant's working.
Thank you, and good evening. I've proudly served as the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Management and Engineering, referred to as DEME, or the Sewer Department, since November of 2012. I'm also the town engineer. I would like to address issues and concerns that were raised regarding the management and operations of DEME in a newsletter that was recently published by a town councilman and describe the functions of this department. Regarding the efficiency of the operation of the treatment plant, we have instituted several cost-saving measures over the last 2 years, saving money on water consumption and overtime. Additionally, we now design and manage smaller-sized contracts with our in-house engineering staff and perform many tasks with operational personnel, saving the expenses of hiring consulting engineering firms and bidding contracts. Spending for the operation of the treatment plant and associated facilities decreased 1% from 2012 to 2013, and the approved budget for 2014 only increased 1% from 2013, which is below the 2% tax cap. Regarding the fingerprint time clocks that were installed at the treatment plant in 2010, approximately a year and a half before I started working for Orangetown, I've been told that they never functioned properly and that they've been broken since 2010. To the best of my knowledge, these time clocks were not installed in several departments, only at the Highway Department and the Sewer Department. I had a brief conversation regarding their use with Supervisor Stewart last year, so I did not know that any town board member was considering their reuse. That would require the expense of repairing and reprogramming them. I would also welcome input on a townwide policy regarding the use of fingerprint time clocks. There was a statement in the subject newsletter that the Rockland County Sewer District does not operate 24 hours a day. I do not know how that information was obtained, since I was told by the Rockland County Sewer District that they always have at least 2 staff members manning their treatment plant 24 hours a day, and on 2 off-hour shifts, there are actually 3 staff members at their plant.
Can I say
Rock-
just on clarification on that, does that apply to all of the county's treatment plants?
No,
Including the
just
one in-
Rockland County Sewer District number 1.
But what about on the Ramapo River, the advanced wastewater treatment plant?
I don't know.
Okay.
Rockland County Sewer District is also hiring 2 new assistant operators to reduce overtime costs. I discussed the option of hiring more assistant operators in January of 2012 at a meeting with Supervisor Stewart and Councilman Valentine. I requested new positions for an assistant operator and a laborer in the 2014 budget to train future employees due to pending retirements and to reduce overtime costs. And unfortunately, these positions had to be cut from the budget. The town of Orangetown mans the treatment plant 24 hours a day with 2 staff members during off hours to test and monitor the operation and efficiency of the treatment plant, 47 pump stations, and over 200 miles of sanitary sewers that comprises our collection system. If a resident has a blockage in the middle of the night or any time, a crew is dispatched to that location and the sewer line is flushed and inspected. If the treatment plant was not manned 24 hours a day, this critical service would no longer be provided to town residents during evening and/or night hours, which may result in more severe backups into homes. I will give you a copy of an email recently sent by a homeowner praising the response to a recent sewer backup by one of our evening crews. This service is not related to the recent $50 million upgrade that the newsletter alluded to. Regarding the retention of an outside management company to run the sewer department, this is an idea that has been mentioned many times over the years, with some speculation that the private company, United Water, may have an interest in running the treatment plant so that they may reclaim processed effluent and sell it back to water consumers. Any outside company's interests lie in making a profit for themselves and their stockholders. The interests of Orangetown DEME employees are to efficiently and effectively serve the residents of Orangetown. Over the last several months, a contractor broke a major sewer line while installing telecommunication facilities. Another contractor dumped bricks down a sewer manhole while demolishing a building, causing a major sewer blockage. And Orange and Rockland had 3 gas mains interfering with town work to eliminate a sewer backup. I compiled a record of all these expenses to the town, and in consultation and support from John Edwards, billed these 3 entities for a total reimbursement to the town in excess of $26,000. All have agreed to pay, and we have already received over $15,000 in reimbursements to date. I'm quite certain that an outside company would not pursue these reimbursements with the same diligence as a commissioner that is also an Orangetown taxpayer. There have also been previous discussions that maybe Rockland County Sewer District number 1 should manage the treatment plant. The facts are that Rockland County Sewer District number 1 charges Clarkstown and Ramapo residents an annual user fee that is higher than our Orangetown residents' annual user fee for the operation and maintenance of their treatment plant, trunk sewer lines, and pump stations. This fee does not include the maintenance of the sanitary sewer collection system in those respective towns. Orangetown DEME operates and maintains the town's treatment plant, 47 pump stations, and over 200 miles of the sanitary sewer collection system, all for an annual resident user fee that is lower than the county and includes service to the sanitary sewer collection system. Additionally, the services provided by DEME for that one annual sewer resident user fee includes engineering services for townwide capital projects entailing in-house design and construction management of infrastructure improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, pump stations, sewer collection system, review and oversight of the Oak Tree Road Bridge Replacement Contract, the construction of new sidewalks on Oak Tree Road, the construction of new sidewalk improvements on Central Avenue, review of plans and specifications prepared by consulting engineering firms, review of plans submitted to the planning board regarding stormwater management, providing records of town infrastructure, addressing resident concerns regarding sewers and drainage, and any other engineering-related matter with a staff of only 3 engineers. Recently, the New York State Department of Transportation approved DEME engineering staff to conduct a field inspection and construction management of the Central Avenue sidewalk improvement contract that will save Orangetown taxpayers $80,000 in consulting fees. DEME also services a diverse fleet of department vehicles, plus vehicles from the Orangetown and Piermont Police Departments, the Orangetown Building Department, Town Hall vehicles, for an approximate total of 120 vehicles, and services 45 generators at the pump stations and treatment plant with a staff of only 3 mechanics and a working mechanic supervisor. DEME also manages the townwide gas fueling system. I myself, as commissioner and town engineer, over the last 28 months, have testified in court twice and given 4 depositions on behalf of the town. Another service that I've been providing as the town engineer, which is expected, is that I stamp and certify design drawings and legal documents with my professional engineering license. Regarding the NIAC sewer system, the subject newsletter mentions that Orangetown is financing approximately $3 million in repairs that might not even reveal the cause of overflows, and that it would not harm the town's interests to retain an outside agency to examine the system, the DEC demands, and the extent and effectiveness of repairing the entire system. The town is not financing $3 million in repairs that might not even reveal the cause of the overflows. The NIAC sewer system has already been examined by DEME by televising the sewers, smoke testing, all done with in-house staff, and conducting a flow monitoring study in 2012 of our own volition in anticipation of future more stringent demands by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. There was no need to hire an outside agency to repeat this work. We found that groundwater infiltration is a primary cause of the overflows. We also already know that the DEC demands are to eliminate overflows at the NIAC pump station, and that was stated at a meeting in November of 2013 that I attended with my engineering staff and Supervisor Stewart. Ironically, at that meeting, I suggested to the DEC that perhaps the town should retain a consultant to prepare the report that they were requiring, and the DEC engineer stated that they prefer that the report be done in-house by DEME. After analyzing the data collected from the flow study and careful consideration of remedial options based on engineering industry practices, our in-house engineering staff and myself concluded that the overflows at the NIAC pump station should end after 3 segments, not the entire sewer system, of antiquated sewers were rehabilitated with the insertion of a liner that seals off the pipe joints that are now allowing heavy groundwater infiltration during significant rain events. We have proposed to perform this work utilizing a tried and proven method to reduce infiltration with an estimated cost of $500,000 in 2014, $1 million in 2015, and $1 million in 2016. Funding for this work is available in New York counties that were recognized as victims of Hurricane Sandy. Rockland is eligible, and the terms of these funds are that 25% will be a grant, and the remaining 75% will be a 30-year no-interest loan. Orangetown has already applied for these funds. This is not dumping money into the sewer system, as mentioned in the newsletter. This is a viable solution to the problem at hand and an economical investment in our infrastructure that has been neglected for many years. There seems to be a general misconception in the management of private industry versus the management of government. In private industry, there are many options available without restrictions, such as staffing levels, investing in capital for long or short-term profits, diversifying or expanding the company, to mention a few. In government, you were given a function and task to perform with the resources at hand. And over the last several years, challenged with maintaining the past level of service with fewer resources. We simply have to make it work. The men and women employed by the Department of Environmental Management and Engineering have been making it work since the wastewater treatment plant opened in 1968. They are employees dedicated to the service of Orangetown and their community, many of whom are town residents, volunteer firefighters, and charity fundraisers. In conclusion, I have always been available to answer any questions that the town board may have, and will continue that practice as your commissioner and town engineer. I thank you for your indulgence this evening.
Thank you, Joe. You're getting some applause. This is a really important conversation, and a debate has been started. You put a lot of information and ideas on the table. You know, and we're doing it in public because there was a public announcement and, you know, an email, newsletter, and so on. A lot of this stuff, you know, can only be followed up on, and so we're listening, essentially. I'm listening to you.
Andy,
I know that Paul needs to speak, and we also have at least one or two people signed in for public comment as well. So maybe since it was Paul's newsletter, they kind of got this ball rolling and it activated your presentation. Paul should respond, but I don't think, you know, there's so many possible topics of conversation that that it will have to go offline relatively quickly. And I wanted to make a comment as well.
No,
when Paul's done.
I don't think we're going to come up with the answer or solution tonight, and that wasn't the intention of the newsletter. The intention of the newsletter was to actually, Joe played into it very well, was to start a conversation. Is to start a conversation on what we have to do to stay under the tax cap in the long term. Saying that things are going away, you know, we can't keep doing things the way we did in the past and expect a different result. When it's getting harder and harder to stay under the tax cap, we're spending down our capital funds, and we're just heading in the wrong direction. So the purpose of the studies that I proposed is not intended to micromanage the department or cast any shadow of doubt on any of the employees, but it's really to check the management of the sewer department and the structure on which all these employees are forced to work. The first study, this is not the first study that's been done in the town of Orangetown as to the operations of a department. There's been a study done at the police department. Some of the findings have been employed and the department reorganized in such a way that we were able to cut staff. My job, and what I was elected to do by the taxpayers of Orangetown, was to find the best ways to run the departments, all departments, so that we get efficiency. In my line of work, my work is inspected on a daily basis by an outside inspection agency. And I welcome those inspections because I know I do a good job. So it's amazing to me that you find it so insulting that I'm asking someone to come in and just oversee what's going on with the management of the sewer department. You should welcome that study. And if in truth be told that you are doing the best possible job with the manpower that you have, that'll come to shine through in the study. While Joe states the department has cut its budget, it's a little misleading. While the overall budget appears to be less, it's because a lot of the capital spending is no longer included in the budget. If you just take a look at the staffing levels and benefits for the employees, in 2007, the cost for the staff and benefits was $3,556,102, while the cost of the staff in 2013 is $5,148,477, meaning that the increase in personnel and benefits cost is $1,592,372. That's for 38 employees. That's a huge increase. And taking money from capital and then saying we're not giving you the funds while using it to pay for the staffing levels is not the answer. There has to be a better answer in which we can meet the staffing levels and keep the capital funded. So while the budget appears less, That's not really the case. An average increase just in the cost of the employees and benefits of $265,395 has occurred every year. Out of the 32 employees, not including management, who work in the sewer department, 21 of those employees made under $3,000 in overtime last year, which is commendable. But 5 of them, 5 of the most highly compensated guys combined, made $102,000. Not only should that be a point of contention with the employees at the sewer department, but it's a question that begs to ask, is that the proper management of overtime? Shouldn't it be spread equally among all the guys, and shouldn't they be cross-trained so that they can all share in the overtime? To top that, the town board has been asked at least 6 times looking for upgrades for only a handful of guys at the sewer department, while others have never been mentioned as upgrades. It's just the culture is wrong, and it needs to be addressed. The broken time clock and Joe's comments about it being are just unacceptable. Just to say you want a town-wide policy. There is a working time clock in the highway department. Your department is different than other departments here. In town hall, they come in and sit at an office. You can see when the people are here and when they leave. Your guys come in, just like my guys in my field. They come in, they check in, they grab a truck, and they're gone for the day. It's unacceptable that that fingerprint time clock does not work, and that management is not demanding that it work, and that the union is not demanding that it work. Because if you're all there on time and you're all leaving at time, why would you care if you have a fingerprint time clock? It just amazes me that you want to make sure there's a town-wide policy on a time clock when we have one that's in working operation in a different department. So I think that's a disservice to the dedicated employees, not a service that you're demanding that there be a town-wide policy or having any excuse why that's not working. As far as the pump station, the 24-hour service, all of the pump stations in Orangetown are alarmed, and they're checked at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. Why can't we have someone on standby with a cell phone or a radio who in turn could assess the problems when they occur? When those problems are called in, they can assess them and call in help, whatever it would take, so that we can provide the same level of service without having men on standby 24 hours a day. And I was at a meeting with you, Joe, Guy DiVincenzo, Bill DeZinni, and Supervisor Stewart, where we went to Rockland County. And I was told at that meeting, because I still have my notes, that at 11 o'clock, they do not have 24-hour service, but they have people on standby and call in. So that's where that came from, Joe, because I was told firsthand at a meeting we were both attended. And then when you talk about the sewer cost, it's a little misleading because they're all based on units, which are based on assessed values, and Clarkstown and Orangetown assess their properties at different values. In fact, the unit charge from 2008 was $160.11, and in 2014, it's $211.21, or an increase of 4.9%. The same for the debt service, which is associated with the sewer department, went from 0.7036 in 2008 to 0.9447 in 2014, or an increase of 5.4%, meaning that the total average cost have increased over 10%. I did not conclude, on another topic, Nyack Sewer District, I did not conclude that it may not fix the problem. You said that at the podium at the last meeting, and it's a matter of public record. In fact, in the report that you gave to the DEC, it says options that could potentially eliminate sanitary overflows, parentheses, SSO, small s, in Nyack. Potentially eliminate does not mean that they're guaranteed to eliminate, Joe. And when we ask you about it, I didn't make that up and write it in the newsletter. The head of the department said it. That was your written and spoken word, not mine. I'm not an expert on the sewer department. I can only assess the information that I'm given. And finally, as far as public and private partnerships to run the sewer department, It has to be an option that has to be looked at. I'm not saying it's the end-all, be-all, but I'm saying that it's something that's being done all around the United States. In fact, it's being done in Nassau County. Most of these agreements protect all, if not all, of the employees and save millions of dollars. Now, there's debate on whether they actually save money or not, but it's a debate that should be had. And it's my job to bring up these options and have these debates so that we can truly see if it would work for Orangetown. It may not, but it needs to be explored. We cannot continue down the current path and keep taxes under 2%. I would actually like to cut spending for a change and start using our reserve funds for capital improvements instead of funding our operating budget. Basically, I would like the town board to start living within its means. And I realize I stepped out on a limb here and that I expected some resistance. But it takes courage to stand up and say that we got to make change, or at least look at things to change. We can't continue the way we're going. It just doesn't work. And it's not only in Orangetown, it's in Rockland, it's in New York State, and it's in the United States. Things have to change. Government is becoming too large and too expensive for people to afford to live here anymore. So I think I'm doing my job by bringing up these debates and these questions and asking for these studies. And I'm sorry if you feel insulted. That wasn't the intent of it. The intent of it is to get a better running sewer department. Thank you.
I never said that I was insulted by any of this. I understand it is the board's job to look at all options. As far as overtime goes for select employees, there's no overtime for select employees. Overtime is inherent in a system where you have 8 men working 24 hours a day. You can't cover 3 shifts, 7 days a week without overtime with 8 men. That's why the assistant operators are the ones that earn the most overtime, and this has been discussed in the past. Rockland County is hiring more assistant operators to reduce overtime costs. If we want to reduce overtime costs and maintain the level of service of 24/7, we'd have to hire more assistant operators. Cell phone radio contact with alarms going off, first of all, that'll delay response time, number one, and that'll also become a contractual union issue. There are costs that are inherent with contract raises and benefits that no department head can control or budget for. 4.9% increase over 5 years. I haven't been working here for 5 years. I can't account for what happened back in 2008. In 2013, there was no capital budget whatsoever. So there were no capital costs included in the budget, and the budget that I've been referring to is totally an operational budget. I did not say that I didn't know if the proposal to line the sewers in the NIAC sewer system would work. I said, I believe I said, and if we want to go back and check the tape, that I couldn't conclude with certainty what percentage of infiltration would be removed, not that it wouldn't work. The only thing that the point that I'm really trying to make, other than the fact of all the functions of this department would have to be covered by an outside firm, and this is a very diversified department, and I think it would be very expensive, but if the board wants to study it, that can be studied, that's fine. But the solutions that we're proposing in the NIAC sewer system is based upon my experience as an engineer that has worked in sewers for 29 years and knows about this method and feels, as a professional engineer standing here before this board, I know this will work. I don't know exactly, like I said before, what the exact percentage of removal would be from the infiltration and inflow, and there's no consultant that could tell you that either. They will put it through all kinds of computer modeling and programs and come up with an estimate, just like we came up with our own estimate ourselves.
I'm not going to get into a debate. I just have
Yeah,
one
I think
quick
it's
comment.
important to finish up, but
Was your plan approved by the DEC yet?
It is still under review
Okay.
by
so
DEC.
we're being asked to approve a bond on a plan that wasn't approved. Okay, I just want to make sure I understand.
We're going to talk about the bond shortly, too, so maybe we need to come back to that, because that's a specific vote that
Okay.
we're working on.
Thank you.
Look, you know, a lot of the questions that Paul has raised and you've answered to are important and nitty-gritty management-type questions, that we have these kind of conversations, and they need to keep on going. The two sort of big elements that I think that he's raised, which you find objectionable, and I understand why, are basically having a study, because, you know, and you know, we probably need to debate that. You know, to my thinking, any large, complex organization with a lot of people working in it, from time to time, calls upon a third party for outside expertise. So that's something that I think we should talk about. If we feel like it's worth it, how much it costs, and what would it be focused on. I would imagine that framed correctly, it could be a very useful thing for you. Nobody wants a study that sits on the shelf and doesn't get used. Secondly, I think that the question of having an engineering company manage the wastewater treatment plant is also a really big question. And it is something that I personally am asking myself. And I will say that I have begun gathering information, because there are reports and information out there that say, yeah, it's a great idea. You know, all current employees get hired because we know there's nobody else who could run that treatment plant, and that you can save substantial money, and that you get access to this kind of expertise and technology that you might not otherwise get. And so if I become convinced through my research and talking with you and others that that is something that we should pursue, you know, that's the kind of question I have in the back of my mind. And I realize it's upsetting. I mean, it is inherently upsetting to talk about making any changes in how the place is managed. But as you know, it's our job, it's my job anyway, as a elected official, essentially to say, you know, what is the most cost-efficient, effective way of running a very complex and expensive operation. And that, to me, basically means, you know, having really good people working there, which we have now, having capital investment, just like we're going to do in NIAC and so on, so we don't get fined when it overflows, and having other kinds of technology and management expertise to make the whole thing work. It's possible that an engineering company could do parts of that better than we do while retaining our current employees. That's happened in other places. It might or might not work in Orangetown, depending on the kind of treatment plant we have. You have expertise in that. Our own employees have expertise in that. And I've spoken to other people who have expertise in it. And I just want to be honest and straightforward, especially with the guys here. This is a question which I personally am interested in looking into. I may decide that it doesn't make any sense, or I may decide that I think we should, you know, debate and have some kind of request for proposals to find out what kind of strategy might work. And so that's on the table. It's part of our job to do the best possible job of running the sewer treatment plant with using the technology and using the expertise and having the quality of service there while saving money in any possible way we can. And this is a question that I think is long overdue for looking at. Maybe it's been considered before. Maybe we can put our hands on an RFP that was issued for private management in years past. That might tell us a lot about whether it makes sense or not. I don't have that experience. I'm not an expert. All I know is that based on the evidence I've seen, it's a question that has to be asked. And I recognize that it is inherently, it's upsetting and it's stressful and it's destabilizing for people who work here to hear that. And that's kind of a reality that we have to face together. We have a bunch of other stuff on the agenda. Do we want to have more comments about sewer treatment, or you're all set?
Well, no, I've listened to you quite a bit, and it's a thing where I've been here a long time. I don't know how much longer, but I've been here a long time. I've been here where the supervisor at one point, behind the scenes, talked about selling the sewer department, selling it off to the county. came to me, I was his third vote. I said no. I did not believe that was the right thing to do at the time. I was here for the sewer bonds. I voted for 22 million, voted against 34 million, voted against 50 million. We spent a ton of money on our sewer infrastructure here. And I really don't believe, again, you have a very good newsletter, Paul. This last one, I read it, I didn't comment on it, but I thought it was the wrong vehicle to put out what you wanted to talk about. You could have put it in more generic terms, saying, I think we need a study, but there was some other stuff put in there that really, I think, cast aspersions at the entire sewer department. And it's a thing where, in terms of what the men and women in the sewer department do, for this town, all right, it's a tough job. It's definitely a tough job, and after $50 million, we still have all these overflows down in Nyack, we have them sometimes down in Piermont, and it's still the workers in the sewer department that have to make these things better, because the $50 million may not have been spent wisely when it was spent. And Andy, you could say all you want, what you decide, but it's not what you decide, it's what the board decides.
Absolutely true.
You can go off on one of your rabbit chases or whatever you're doing down some hole, but that
I would
doesn't mean...
qualify that as an
Let me
aspersion.
finish, Andy, I listened to you. One of the things that you and parts of your administration have done, have talked cavalierly about taking the TV truck, parking it on the side, or selling the TV truck. One of the things that's integral to doing the lining of the pipes down in Nyack, it is. I was here when we bought it. It sat in the yard for 2 years because of mismanagement, and then it was finally put out and started being used. It's an important truck. It is important for what we have to do here in the town. All right? I just think you got to be a little smarter in terms of how you deal with the people here who work for the town. That's what I believe. I do. And again, whether you should study it or not, do whatever studies you want to do. And again, we did a police study. We can do a sewer study. We can do a supervisor study. That would be good. It's a thing where do whatever studies you want to do, but it should be money wisely spent. Whether I'd vote for it or not, I don't know. But I think we got to be a little more careful about what we're saying about various departments. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think we should sell the TV truck. I've been on it with Mr. Garvey, and I think it works great. And that we should sell the TV truck? I don't remember ever having any real conversation about that. But it's a.
You don't remember it didn't happen.
And it's upsetting for town board members too to talk about any kind of change, and that's understandable. But some of these basic ideas need to be explored, and it's never unilateral. We found out when we debating other topics, whether it's the budget or the golf course or whatever it is. It's like we have to all get on the same page, or at least the majority of us, and that depends a lot on input and expertise from town management and employees, and also wherever you can get information that's relevant. And that's the process that we are bound by law to follow. And I think democracy is a great thing.
Andy, I just want to say one more thing quickly. Part of why I was elected was because I'm a small businessman, and studies are done of businesses across the United States on a daily basis, big and small. And they are a great tool to be used. So for me calling for a study and bringing it out in my newsletter didn't insult anybody, other than the fact that there were things in the sewer department which are not being managed properly. And whether they were insulted by it or not, it's just a fact. So I didn't mean it towards any individual sewer employees or the employees of the town, and I started out even my conversation tonight by saying that. But there are things, again, and I'm not harping on this one thing, but it's, as a taxpayer, you have to be insulted that there's a problem with a fingerprint time clock where it's continually broken in one department and not in another. It just begs to ask the question. And again, I'm surprised that the employees don't want that.
All right. That's probably enough on this topic.
Okay,
We do need to have more discussion.
appreciate
I'm
that.
happy to speak with anybody offline about it. But we've gone back and forth a little bit. We are in a public forum. We do have other business to do, and it is public comment period for townsfolk as well.
Yes, thank you. And I would have appreciated that Mr. Valentine expressed his interest in the fingerprint time clock before he put it in his newsletter. We could have had a conversation about that. Thank you.
Well, you guys should talk about that. I just want to we only have we have 2 people signed up for public comment. I think we should just take care of it so they can go home. Motion to open the public comment period. We have public comment. Second. All in favor, say aye. Got it. The first one on the list is Shirley Goebel Christie, who's sitting right over here. If you could just approach the podium.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I am just here to thank the town board for considering my candidacy for the opening on the Architectural Review Board. I wanted to say that I have lived a life of service to my community, first working with the youth and molding their minds to face the future, and now I use my extensive background in art and architecture in Manhattan with the Van Allen Institute, studying design in the public realm. And I would be very honored to serve Orangetown, where I live with my family, on the Architectural Review Board, if chosen. And I thank you.
Thank you for saying that. We also have Habib Hassan signed up. Is he still here? Here we go.
Good evening, gentlemen. I don't know if you may allow me to speak on the discussion on the sewerage, because it's
You can say
Councilman
anything you
Turai
want
said,
for 3
as
minutes.
Councilman Turai said, I think we both are specialists at that, because when I started coming here, first time back in 2009, there was a big discussion. It was rightly said, $52 million might have been misused. I would like to suggest with that, there is a government, village government, where Supervisor, you are sitting, and the next government is by the end of this hall at the next government, which is South Nyack. Regarding this, all these issues, I think the problem is that why does the town of Orangetown as a government as such has to bear all the expenses, whereas the benefits are going to be, there's a government in Nyack, there's a government a block away, as I said, in South Nyack. So where is this money coming from? And if you're talking about consultants, it's not about studies. I understand the check and balance of the government, and I commend Councilman Valentine for bringing that up. And Councilman Turai understand the people who are working in this town are and I remember there was a big issue. So why can't, there's a Palisade Mall right next where you have the sewage flood, where I used to have a Ford Explorer. My windows would be full, but it was fun. I would go at about 60 mile indoors, splash the water after the rains. Was very, very much fun. But now it's been repaired. There's a Palisade Mall, the tax is coming. There's a school district in bordering the town line in Orangetown. So where is this money going that the taxes gathered from the McCallie, whoever owns that mall? Now there's another mall in Nyack. So why does the town, as Councilman Turai mentions this correctly, that why does the town of Orangetown has to bear all this? And when you do studies, you have to give studies to people like me, experts, a 25-year experience. You're not going to pick up a few gentlemen from Columbia University and give it to the police study for them. There's a conflict of interest over there, because, that's not right. You can ask people who are you giving the reports to do? It doesn't work that way. And the governance is a problem. You did not debate this issue so much when you were cutting down the police budget against the recommendation of the chief of police. You did it in 3 seconds. You decided you're going to cut the budget against his recommendations. But you are too much concerned with sewerage. Oh my God, after $52 million, why didn't you give $52 million to the PD? And why don't you put the 100 officers back in the force in this town? We are situated in a place where there are 7 highways conflicting. I don't understand. This is wrong governance. I don't know what's your agenda, sir.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Habib. That completes folks who signed in. Right. We do have a public hearing. We're overdue to start, but I would like to recognize the head of the CSEA to speak. And then we are going to go to our public hearing, and when we return to public comment when we finish the other necessary business, and I don't think it's going to take very long.
No. Good evening. For
Welcome,
anyone,
Mr. Brennan.
Anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Keith Brennan. I'm the president of the CSA here in Orangetown. 24-year member of the workforce here. You've heard a lot of information tonight. Paul, I reached out to you a month ago to meet with you. I get a text message today. It just seems to be funny that we have all the numbers. Oh, okay. We can fight all we want. It's funny. It's funny that we have all the numbers for the sewer department and what we make and what everyone else makes, but we don't do no studies for everyone else. I'm the union guy. I'm here to represent everybody. What you put in the paper, in your letter, I have several gentlemen here. It's pretty embarrassing, okay? I understand we're here to save money, but some of your facts were not true, okay? You can shake your head. I can tell you the reason we were told the time clock doesn't work. We work on a 24-hour, 7-day basis. Mr. DeZini, when it first went in, worked on it. It didn't work. We, in the sewer department, punch a card. Unbeknownst to some people that think we come in and out of here, we punch a paper card every day. Okay, so we do punch in, we do clock our time. But nobody wants to reach out to the union. We want to beat the union up. We all make too much money because we're short-staffed. Okay, we're not doing a study on the highway. We're not doing a study at the golf course. We're gonna go after the sewer department. If we're gonna do it, let's do it townwide. I've reached out to everybody on this board. Nobody wants to sit and talk to the union. We have some suggestions, we have some ideas. Mr. McGarvey works on that TV truck. He's entitled to it, he does it. Andy came out, and that was Andy's comment. Maybe we'll park it or we'll sell it. Okay, it's embarrassing. Yes, Andy, you did say it. I'm not gonna argue with you. We've asked for upgrades. Certain guys are entitled to upgrades. DEC regulations, I understand it's always a money factor, but we just can never get anything accomplished. So maybe we can sit down. You guys get the same benefits as we do, and I'm a full-time employee. So I just think maybe before we speak out of school, we should talk to the people down there, because there's a lot of people that live in this town that are very upset. I have no problems with a study. We sat for our contract for 3 years. You guys told us we were broke, but now we want to spend another 100,000, 2 zeros, or we took 2 zeros because that's what we did, because we understand the financial times. But now we want to spend $100,000 to do a study. And last July, I sat with all you gentlemen, and we have no money. That's all we can do for you. So I don't know what else to say, Andy. I think you kind of spearheaded this, and that's fine. You know, we've had some other issues here that we can't get resolved. So if you want to sit with me, reach out to me, and I have no problem sitting with you.
Thank you.
As long as you want to hear the truth.
Thank you, appreciate it. Actually, I called your cell phone yesterday, so you should have my number as well.
I got it. I'm not making that meeting.
A motion to close our public hearing for the time being anyway, and move on to the first agenda item. Can I have a second on that? Can I have a second? Our public hearing is supposed to start at 8:10, I think.
Are you going to reopen it, or is that?
Yeah, I would like to reopen it later, in case anybody... Right, all right, so we're not closing it. So let's just go on to the first... I mean... What? Well, our intent was to move on. If you comment, and I don't know, you didn't sign in, so I'm not even sure. Well, you know what, this agenda is really not going to take long. We'll wrap back around to public comment. Or if you have something you need to communicate to the board individually, we'll be here and at your disposal. A motion to open the public hearing on the sewer district improvement bond. I'll make that motion. Can I have a second? Because we need to discuss this. All in favor, say aye. All right, so we're having a public hearing right now about the sewer bond. It starts with our clerk presenting an affidavit that the public hearing was properly notified. All right, we're all set with that? Is anybody here, maybe we should bring Joan up to the, for starters, because this is the kind of conversation that comes back to you pretty quickly anyway. Just to describe the purpose of the bond, and then we'll have any public comment on it.
Andy, before you do that, it's a little bit different. The actual public hearing is in connection with the public interest order, where you make a determination regarding the necessity to increase the cost of the sewer district by reference to the specific work that's required to be done. So you're going to be asked, when eventually you vote, to first adopt a public interest order. Then, if you do so, you adopt a resolution approving the bond. So it implicates the bond, the repairs, the remediation, the work needed to be done, but it's a little bit broader than the simple bond resolution.
Thanks for clarifying that. I know we've discussed the bond and what it includes in the past and worked over the list of projects and the reasons why we need the inflow and infiltration stopped through a relining process, the sludge press being on its last legs. The old pump station up by Hunt Road that is a hazard and it's kind of out there and needs to be taken care of. I guess the question is there any other information you want to add, just so the public knows what we're doing, and then we'll invite public comment on the bond.
Well, there's $1.5 million in this bond anticipation note for sewer relining of the Nyack sanitary sewer system, $500,000 for 2014, $1 million for 2015. The reason the $1 million was added for 2015, if I understand the finance director correctly, is that he feels interest rates may be climbing in the next year if we don't fund this money now. But this $1.5 million is also eligible for the grant and the 30-year no-interest loan program that I had mentioned before. So this might not turn out ultimately to be $1.5 million. There's a very good chance that it won't.
Right, just to clarify on that, a portion of what would be funded under this bond, we're applying for financing from the Environmental Facilities Corporation.
That's correct.
That's what you're saying, which is a very advantageous interest rate. Okay, so this may become kind of a moot point at some point when that other financing mechanism.
Yeah, what it is essentially, the $1 million was added, not entirely because interest rates are changing, but because we don't want to go out with $1 million bond next year for the same thing, when we're going to roll the whole thing over to EFC, where we get a 25% grant where they pay for it, and then we only have to pay for the other 75% over 30 years at 0% interest rate. So that's why the $1 million was added for the 2015. Because of the DEC consent order, we have to basically do it anyhow. So instead of doing two separate bond issuances, one this year and one next year for $1 million, it's more economical for the town to pay one set of transaction costs, and interest rates are also at historically low, pretty close to historically low levels. So, and by combining all of our bonds, this $2.25 million of sewer and the other stuff, the highway equipment that we put into the budget, we do a bond, total bond of about $5 million, just a little over that, and that should give us the best type of pricing as well. So that's the rationale for adding the $1 million in.
Right. It's conceivable that 25% of this entire bond will be given to us from a grant from EFC, and the other 75% the no-interest loan.
Right.
But also, rebuilding the sludge press, didn't we obtain a $250,000 grant for
Right,
that?
so we're well on our way
So-
on that one.
Instead of it being $350,000, it is now $100,000. And the renovation at the RPC pump station are funds that we always had because of the unpaid electric bills. But now we have to, because those funds were used in other areas, we have to reimburse that account. But it's money that the town always had. It's not an expenditure per se.
In terms of the sludge press, it does look like we're going to get that money. but from speaking with bond counsel, they indicated that we should still go for the bond. If we get the money, then we obviously would just retire that portion of the bond and pay that off quicker, and we can do that.
Well, while we're doing this, I want to just commend the application process for that environmental facilities grant, which is a great deal for the town. And also, we worked with Senator Carlucci's office to get the money for the sludge press, which was another successful funding application. So we try to do these things instead of having to bond for everything. And
Well-
we've had some luck in this case, which is great.
That was also,
When are we gonna find out if the DEC actually approves of this proposal? Because the last thing I wanna do is vote on a bond and then find out, you know what? They don't like what we're proposing, and they want us to do something completely different, or they want us to spend more money. I'd really like to know that they're on board with what we wanna do.
I submitted it January 24th, and what we proposed were one of the options that they wanted us to look at. They've sent it to their attorneys in Albany for that review, so that takes some time. What I heard, the latest I heard, was that we were going to get a response last week. So I think it's forthcoming, but I can check on it again.
It's just ironic, DEC's ready to, school the town for the NIAC problem, but, we proposed it in January, it's almost April now, and they haven't given us a response when we're trying to remediate this, and we spent $50 million trying to remediate the problems we have in this town.
Right, I
Just doesn't
agree.
make any sense.
If for some reason, even though the plan for the bonded work was negotiated with the DEC, but if for some reason they kick it back and say, oh, no, this is just, we don't support this, what would happen then? Obviously, you have to sort of redefine the public works project. Is this an issue where we actually need to wait for them to finish with their paperwork or not?
Well, we've already bid and awarded the contract to the low bidder for the lining for 2014.
Right, which needs to be
And
done anyway,
it's-
so.
Correct. It's not that we'd be wasting $500,000. We're rehabilitating over 10,000 linear feet of sewer in Nyack. And the other $1 million is in anticipation of 2015.
Just in terms of the timeline for bond closing, and this could change a little bit, but right now, we're looking at not even a closing date till May 21st, when we would actually get the money. So pretty much up until that point, you could pull, if you decide to reduce the amount, you could still do that. So approving it today, we can go up to that amount, but you can always reduce it up until the closing. So if we get a different decision from the DEC before then we could do a quick change there. But with all the publishing of the letter of estoppel, that's the maximum amount we can do, but we can always reduce it.
So you don't need to use all of it if you don't.
I am recommending doing it, yes.
And the point I was trying to make about the funding and the grants that have been available and approved is that this $2,225,000 is pretty much an inflated number. I mean, it's to be on the safe side. In the long run, at the end of the day, when EFC approves their grants, we can be speaking about this next year with much money in hand that we can use for capital projects in the future.
But it also helps us in the EFC grant process that we are going through this, and they recognize that we're serious. And so by going through and approving the bond and getting started on the work, even if we don't do it, as rapidly, it helps our application.
If everything works out and we get the approvals from the various bonding agencies and the programs that we're going through, how much do you think we could save cost-wise for the lining and the press?
Well, right off the bat, we're getting $250,000 already from the press, so that's
Yep, all right.
off the table
So
right
that's
now.
250.
So the $2,225,000 is already under $2 million as we speak now. And then if EFC approves the rest of the projects, right off the bat, we'll get 25% grant.
So you're
talking
So-
four or
500,000.
500,000.
Right.
You know, and then I don't know if you quantified this, Joe, but, you know, obviously, if you stop the inflow and infiltration, that's less work that the sewer plant has to do. It's less volume that you have to process. Not only does it stop overflows into the Hudson, but it creates capacity in the sewer plant for when we build out RPC and get that going. But, so, and it reduces work and reduces wear and tear on the pump stations and, you know, should reduce our capital costs in the future as well.
That's correct, especially the Nyack pump station and the treatment plant. Reduces operational costs, especially electricity.
So right now, we're pumping a lot of rainwater.
Yes, we are.
Right.
Which incidentally, for some reason or unfortunately, was not part of the $50 million bond. The $50 million bond was pump station upgrades, the wastewater treatment plant upgrades. The collection system was not included in that, and no work was done on the collection system.
You need a majority or supermajority?
Super majority.
There's only four.
Yeah, we're in the public comment period for the sewer bond, if anybody would like to speak to this question. I see one hand up. Go ahead, Mr. Habib.
Sir, I don't mean to create a conflict of, or be offensive towards the government of every block. Good enough, when we release bond, the county is a deficit with a letter written by some analysts saying that, okay, they're going to upgrade the deficit and going to do the same exact thing that's being done for the sewage department. My only concern in this and my comment is, Palisade Mall taxes are gone to Clarkstown. Now Navnet Mall taxes are gone to Clarkstown. Nyack has got its own budget. South Nyack has got its own budget. And there is another Nyack, I don't know what exactly, they call it north, south, east, west, I don't know what. They have to chip in a bit and we can slash this to 50%. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Mr. Habib. Just to be clear, all residential units in the town, village, and the rest of the town pay the sewer unit charge to support the system. That includes Nyack houses as well. Are there any other hands up for public comment? Seeing none, I have a motion to close public comment from Councilman Troy. I have a second from Divany. All in favor say aye. 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 Public comment is closed.
Joe, I got one more question I just want to ask, if you mind going back to the podium. I mean, most of the votes for the sewer work were done before I was on the board. I just want to know that if we vote for this sewer relining, are you telling me this is going to be it for Nyack? Is this going to solve the problem? Because that's what I want to hear tonight. If it's not, I don't want to vote for this, because I'd rather do the study, but, I'm putting you on the spot. But if you're going to tell me that, in your expert opinion as an engineer, that this will work, then, then we can move on. But that's my major concern.
I can give you the facts that I know. Pretty much it's accepted throughout the industry that just a sewer relining will achieve 65% removal. In our report, we estimated 80% removal because the lengths of pipe are 2 feet, so every 2 feet you have a joint. A lot of other studies that were done were larger diameter pipes where you have a joint every 3 feet. So instead of estimating at 65% removal, we estimated at 80% removal. If you look at the hard numbers, and I believe it was Councilman Troy that asked a couple of weeks ago, what is the percent that we actually calculated for the 3 years of the 3 segments that we proposed to line? If we achieve 40% removal, we will achieve our goal that was shown to be the amount of infiltration and inflow that we need to remove based upon the 2012 flow study. I hope that answers your question. I'm not trying to be convoluted. I'm trying to present,
I
I'm
mean,
trying to present the facts.
Instead of giving an
I need to know, is this
yes
gonna
or
work?
no. Just, in your opinion, you're saying yes.
In my opinion, in my professional opinion, yes. Okay.
Just to sort of protect us and protect you, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is with inflow and infiltration, which is water coming off of, down through illegal connections from downspouts, and coming through the ground because of leaky sewer pipes, so water gets in. You could succeed in knocking, 80% out. Is it true, though, that there's sort of a worst-case scenario where you have enough rain that the remaining leaks, in an extreme situation, could still result in an overflow down at the Nyack pump? I just want to know, because I don't want you're affirming that this works well, and I understand that, and I've read your report, and it's best of my ability, I agree with it. But I just want to know, is there a scenario where, because it's just such an extreme event, like a hurricane, Floyd or something like that, where there's nothing you could do to keep that, you see what I'm saying? I mean, is
Yes. And I remember at the meeting that we attended in November that the DEC engineer said, if there's a catastrophic event such as another hurricane, and after this work is done and you have an overflow at the Nyack pump station, that is something that we would not get fined for.
Right. So in other words, it would work in the vast majority of rain events, but it's conceivable that you'll have an overflow due to heavy rain. Just to be clear, because I don't want him to be.
You don't have to do that, Andy.
Okay.
I asked him a question, let me answer the question. He's the engineer, not you.
Thank you.
Are there? Let's see. Where are we next? I appreciate that clarification about who's the engineer. We close the public portion. Is there any other town board comment about this, or do you want to proceed on to, we have a secret process which involves lead agency and a declaration.
Just, I want to be clear that just because I'm voting for this doesn't mean that I'm opposed to a study about it, because
Right.
we're not spending all the money in 1 year. So I think the NIAC system is in a mess, and voting against this would be, it's sort of cutting off your nose to spite your face, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to vote in favor of the bond for all the right reasons, but that has nothing to do with this study that I was suggesting.
Which covers a host of management and technology issues which go beyond the inflow and infiltration, which these guys have been studying actually for a while with the television truck and so on. Any other comments about the question you want to advance on? Okay. So our next resolution is for lead agency under SECRA for the bond. I'll make a motion for the board to declare itself lead agency. Can I have a second on that? From Troy, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, so we are now the lead agency. The determination in the next resolution has to do with our, as lead agency, determining significance or non-significance under the SECRA law. And the resolution reads that the action being undertaken by the board is a type 2 action exempt from review under SECRA, and that it involves funding of the maintenance and repair of sewer facilities involving no substantial changes in any existing structure or facility, and the replacement, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of a structure or a facility in the same place of the same kind, and so on and so forth. The board further finds and determines that were this action to be subject to review under SECRA as an unlisted action, it would have no significant adverse environmental impact, in that the projects and funding approved will improve and upgrade the town's sewer system as required under the DEC consent orders and regulations. Accordingly, were the action to be an unlisted action, the board, acting as lead agency, would adopt a determination of non-significance. So it's exempt, but if for some reason it would become non-exempt, we're also saying that it's not a significant impact on the environment.
It's frequently recommended that if you're finding it to be a type 2 action and therefore not subject to seeker, that the record should reflect that you've considered the potential environmental impacts in any event and where you might be otherwise. So it's like belts and suspenders. And bear in mind, of course, that a lot of the money being spent is because of the consent order and because of other DEC regulations. So the town has really little choice in terms of having to address the problem. So the impact would not be a negative impact.
All right. Can I hear a motion for the adoption of this declaration? From Troy? Second from over here. Divany, all in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. The next is the adoption of the public interest order, which is there for anybody to read. I'll make a motion in favor of this. Can I have a second? Troy, all in favor, say aye. Number 7 is actually the authorization of the issuance of the bonds themselves. And there's a description here of how that works and what it's for, and so on and so forth, through 2.5 pages. Finishing with Section 10, that this resolution, which takes effect immediately, shall be published in summary form in the official newspaper, together with the notice of the town clerk, and so on and so forth under local finance law. Can I have a motion for this resolution, please? Move from Divany. Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. Actually, they're calling for a roll call. Do you want to do that, Charlie?
Sure. Councilman Bidney? Yes. Councilman Troy?
Yes.
Councilman Valentine?
Yes.
And let the record show that Councilman Moore is absent and Supervisor Stewart.
Yes. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, folks who work down at the sewer treatment plant and on the collection system and in the engineering and the maintenance facility for the work you do. That brings us to, hold on, we got to leap ahead. Where are we at? To number 8, I think, which is fitness. Am I right about that? So I'll double check my math. All right, sorry. Oh, right. So as explained here, items 1 and 2, maybe we just quickly state the notification process for the public hearing. The Journal News didn't get it in time, and so we have to defer public hearing that would have been tonight on changes in the traffic law and in the flood map to April 22nd.
Journal News had a meltdown.
They had a meltdown. They had a bad hair day. So I'll make a motion on number 1 for the public hearing on traffic for April 22nd. Can I have a second? Over here, Divany, all in favor, say aye. Motion on number 2 for flood map to April 22nd. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Thank you for getting us back there. Number 8 has to do with, sorry. No, wait, no, 3 is part of the sewer stuff that we just did with the other agenda. Number 8 is setting a public hearing for a consideration of a petition from Column Seal, Inc., amending the town zoning law by adding individual fitness and training center as a conditional use by the planning board in the LIO zoning district. And what we were going to do on that is have the public hearing.
And I do have the affidavit of publication and the notice of posting.
Is there anybody here to speak? And in addition, I just want to know if there's anybody else. Come up, Don, come to the podium, please. But if there's anybody else here to speak on this, I just want to know if we've got a Okay. So you're here to speak on behalf of Column Seal Properties regarding the zoning law amendment that I just described.
Yes, my name is Donald Brennan. I'm an attorney in Japan, New York. I represent the petitioner of the petition. I do have some pictures I would like to distribute to the town board. This petition has been before your honorable board for well, it started over a year ago. My client wishes to build that thing on the east side of Blaisdell Road near the New Jersey border. He does have a time factor involved. He has gone before the planning board and has gone before the zoning board and the architecture review board, showing you what we have shown you, but based on the fact that he has shown it as a building which is permitted in that zone, taking all the expenses on his course, to fact that he wants to build a building, but this is the thing that he would like to build. He's requesting that the board pass this petition and permit this as a special use in that zone, so that when he goes back for final approval in the up and coming weeks, he can then tell the planning board that's what he wants to use it for. So he's definitely in favor of it, and wishes the board will pass the resolution prior to the planning board hearing, which will be sometime early in April.
Just so that the board is aware, and I know that you are, and it's pointed out by the county in its general municipal law review in its first comment, what you're being asked to do at this time, when you vote on this, is not to issue a special permit to this particular applicant for this specific site, but to amend the use table to authorize this specific use throughout the LIO zone. So the county planning department in that regard urges you to look at the parcels which might be affected townwide, those in the LIO zone on which the use could be installed. So that's initially what you're doing. Then the question of the issuance of a special permit comes up. So it's a process. This is the first step of the process, although to some extent this applicant has sort of moved the process ahead by going to the planning board and the zoning board at his own risk in connection with a generic structure, which the planning board, I guess they'll decide whether they can approve it or not, but they can't approve it for this use until you make this use a permitted use by special permit. So just bear in mind, this is a town-wide change to the use table for the LIO zone.
I would like to just add a comment to that specific point. I actually sat in...
If you can just introduce yourself.
Oh,
just,
hi, I'm sorry. I'm Peter Skay. I'm the petitioner. But I actually sat in Supervisor Stewart's office with Mr. Edwards in September, and we actually took the entire townwide map and indicated every single parcel that would be affected by this. So that was in September. So to say we need to review it now is part of the issue. So I just want to make sure we know we did bring that forth, color-coded and all.
Right. No, I mean, you've made a presentation, and we had the folks with the fitness operation in here speaking to us. I think we understand the project pretty well. But our purpose tonight is to have a public hearing on that. you have any other comments?
No, we would just hope that you could move it along as rapidly as you can. I had spoken to the town attorney. He had requested maybe a week's delay before a vote would be taken, based on the fact that he wanted certain paperwork be reviewed. We then would appreciate maybe if you could vote on it at the workshop meeting.
That will certainly be considered. We have the option, our next meeting is on April 8th, and then the one after that is on April 22nd. So why don't we take that one, that's resolution number 11, and we'll get to that. We'll discuss that, and I don't have any problem doing it on the 8th. And I know you have planning board shortly thereafter, so. We can just have a public hearing and then have a continuation while we review the maps and so on. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? We're having a public hearing about this adjustment in the zoning code. Okay, not seeing any hands. Can I have a motion to close public hearing? I thought we were closing the public hearing and then continuing. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, sorry. This agenda has us closing the public hearing. So skip number 9. Would it be appropriate this time to declare ourselves lead agency? Or do you want to leave that until?
You can do that. We circulated, we got responses. We asked for expedited responses, and there's no objection from the town board being lead agency, so you can do that.
Motion for the town board to act as lead agency in this matter. Can I have a second on that? Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. For town board lead agency. And then number 11 is resolve this public hearing to consider the petition, which we just described. Is hereby continued. Now, I would propose that we do this on April 8th during the workshop. We certainly have time for it, given that I think they have their planning board date later that week. Does anybody have any objection? Can I get a second from that?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
So, Charlotte, just let the record reflect that that's a change to that from the 22nd to the 8th. All right, and the text of that amendment is included in the agenda here. Our next set of items have to do with appointing town residents to land use boards and also to the committees that serve important functions for advising the town board on different matters ranging from sports to health issues to safety and traffic and so on. The first one up, and I should point out that at least one of these, or two of these, I differed, at least from what I think is the majority of the town board in terms of who I think is the best person to appoint, and using my entitlement as town supervisor to put together the agenda and what I think is the best way. I've done that, but with the understanding and the foreknowledge of the town board members here that they may need to change a name, which is understood. We'll also say that we interviewed many wonderful people, and it's great seeing the public come out and offer their volunteer time on all of our committees and land use boards that really do important stuff. And so everybody should understand that we always have more interested and qualified people who want to participate than there is slots in any one year, depending on people who are retiring or moving on in some way. So having said that, number 12 is a reappointment for Architecture and Community Appearance Board of Review of Jack Messina for a period of 3 years, including 2014 through 2016. I'll make a motion for that. Got Divany motion, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have that. Number 13 is appointing Mr. Messina the chair of the Architectural Review Board, which is a 1-year appointment. Can I have a motion for that, please? Move from Divany, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. The third one is my putting this in there, reappointing Paul Pepe for a term. I believe that he's served well, and that he's a licensed engineer, and he has chaired the committee in the past, and there's no reason to leave him off the list. So I'll make a motion for Paul Pepe for reappointment. Can I have a second? Not hearing a second, the motion fails. Would anybody like to say any particular reason why they're not seconding Paul Pepe for reappointment? Hearing none?
We interviewed 20-something candidates, and they all deserve it.
All are deserving. Some have experience and qualifications that others don't. But would you like to make, should we just skip over that one? Or do you want to propose an alternative resolution?
Why would you skip over it? No, I'll make a motion for Andy Andrews for that position.
Okay, we have a motion for Andrew Andrews for a term of 3 years, beginning in 2014 and through 2016. Do we have a second on that? From Divany? Roll call on that?
Councilman Troy.
I'd like to say, I'd like first of all to thank Paul Pepe for his service on the board. I voted for him in the past. I voted for him for chairman, and we're looking for a change, that's all. And I think it was a disservice to put his name in there, and it's going to be on another one, the same thing. I think it was the wrong thing to do, but hey, that's your prerogative.
Well, it was also Paul's desire, because he would like to continue serving.
Fine.
Councilman Digby.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Councilman Valentine.
Yes, and I'd also like to thank Paul for his service.
And Supervisor Stowe.
No. Thanks, Charlie. Number 15 is of the same form, appointing Shirley Christie to fill the remainder of a term of Alex Demena, who left. And when we do appointments, we have to make sure we're careful about the number of years. So this would be a 1-year appointment to Alex Demena's, the remaining year of his term, having left and moved south, of Shirley Christie. Can I get a second on that? Would anybody like to explain why not? All right. Would anybody like to make an alternative motion?
Make a motion to appoint Steve Sweeney to that position, which you already knew, that's what we were doing.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilman Troy.
Yes, some people insist on pounding square pegs through round holes.
Councilman Digby.
Yes.
And Councilman Valentine.
Yes, and I think Shirley Christie, it was her first time applying. I think she's very well qualified, and she'll be an asset to a town in the future. But now is not.
said.
And Supervisor Stowe.
I agree with what Paul just said. And I also, for the record, know Steve Sweeney and think he'll do a great job as well. But as many of us have said, there's many qualified applicants, and we may differ on what we think the Architectural Review Board would need at this time. And I'll miss Steve on the OPDAC, the Parks Committee, which presumably he'll be leaving, because it's been great having him there. I said no, because I thought we should put Shirley in there. Number 16 is the appointment of Deborah Stuhl-Weissenberg. Let's see for how many years this is. 14 to 16 for a 3-year term.
I'll move that.
Motion from Divany, second from myself. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And thank you to Debbie for her service on the Board of Assessment Review. Moving forward, we'll know she'll do a great job. This is for the Planning Board, the appointment of Thomas Warren to serve a term from 2014 through 2020. That's a longer term. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
From Troy. Second over here. Valentine, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Congratulations, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom
thank
is in the
you.
back.
Thank you.
He's in the back corner, if you want to recognize him.
Tom, if you could just stand up for 1 minute.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for your service, sir. Number 18, the reappointment of Kevin Garvey as chair of the planning board. It's a
So moved.
one-year term from Troy, second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Had the pleasure of serving with Kevin on the planning board. He does a great job.
Kevin's in the back.
I didn't see you back there, Kevin. Oh, the red stripe. Thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for all you do. Moving on to the Historic Area Board of Review. Number 19 is the appointment of Joe Chabot to fill the remainder of a term, and that's Tom Quinn's term, which he's vacating. We have a motion from Divity, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. This is a reappointment, number 20, of Larry Bucarelli. This is a one-year term. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Divity. All in favor, say aye. I'm just noting also the hard work that our town attorneys put into sort of rectifying and rationalizing all these terms. There was the town had kind of mixed things up a little bit in the past, and then each one builds on the next, and you end up with too many people having the term come up in 1 year. So now things are set straight with staggered terms from 1 to 5 years. Number 21 is the reappointment of Margaret Rasso for 2014 and 2015. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second?
Second.
Divity, all in favor, say aye. 22 is for Thano Chopel for 2014 through 2016. Moved from Divany, second from myself. All in favor, say aye. Number 23 is the reappointment of Wayne Garrison. Can I have a motion for this, please? Moved from Divany, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. Number 24 is the reappointment of Walter Wheatley for 2014 through 17. Motion from Divany, second from myself. All in favor, say aye. Moving on to 25 is the reappointment of William Walther. Motion from myself, second from Divany. All in favor, say aye. Now we're going on to the zoning board, which is also one of the most important, if not the most important, boards that we have. Here is the Tom Quinn to fill a seat formerly held by Nanette Albanese, whose term expired at the end of 2013. Motion from Tom Divany to appoint Tom Quinn. Second over here from Troy. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Number 27 is the reappointment of Leonard Feroldi, as I believe he's the alternate, right?
Yep.
Right, as an alternate, so we always make sure we have enough people there if someone doesn't make it to the meeting. He does a great job. He's up to speed on things and can step in at any time. Move from Valentine, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. This is reappointing the chair of the ZBA as Daniel Sullivan. That is a one-year term, like all chair positions. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye. All right. Moving on to the Board of Assessment Review. Thank you, Anne Marie Har, for your service and being willing to be reappointed. This is a term of, looks like 5 years. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? From Divany, all in favor, say aye. Got it? I made the motion, Divany seconded. And tell me if you want to make the motion. We have Mike Bryceland, who was here tonight, at least earlier. Did he go home? Oh, there he is. Thank you. Just stand up to be recognized for 1 minute. Being appointed to the Board of Assessment Review. We have a motion from Paul Valentine, a second from Tom Divany. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you. We have a series of committees here. Number 31 is the TV committee, composed of people with experience in producing videos to do work related to getting community programs and town programs on TV. Maybe I'll just list out names for each committee. Does the board need me to read all the names of all the members of all these committees? Because in some cases, there are many people here on these lists.
All right, I'll make a motion on number 31.
I have a motion from Divany on 31, a second from myself. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, David Chilson, who's filming us right now, for his volunteer work, and others involved with that project. The Community Development Block Committee is the number 32. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. And thanks go out to Sister Peggy Scarano and Sister Jude De Palma for their work on that. Number 33 is reappointing the Orangetown Parks Development and Advisory Committee. We have 8 people.
I'll make that motion, but let's,
Which
maybe
it-
taking Steve Sweeney off that.
Yeah, you're right. I presume that he'll want to kind of redirect his
He's
efforts.
going on to, Agawam.
Motion to pass this resolution for myself. Can I have a second? As amended with the removal of Sweeney. From Valentine, all in favor, say aye. The Substance Abuse Committee, which Dennis serves as liaison to. So moved from Dennis, a second from myself. All in favor, say aye. Number 35, the Traffic Advisory Board. Just a clarification, we broke the groups into two, 2, 3, 4. One being members who are strictly community representatives, and the others being the town staff from police, highway, engineering, and so on, who serve as liaisons and working out the traffic issues. It's a really important board. So all their names are listed here, but it's broken out a little bit to distinguish between the two for reasons of compliance with our town code. We have, Paul, would you like to make that motion? All right. Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Bureau of Fire Prevention. Some familiar folks here. Thank you very much for their service. I'll make a motion to approve this resolution. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye. Shade Tree Commission. Spring is here. There will be meetings. There are 4 individuals listed. I'll make a motion for this one. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye. Number 38 is Senior Citizens Committee. Would someone like to make a motion on this? From Troy. Second over here. From Divany. All in favor, say aye. We have the Project Review Committee. It's number 39, the reappointment of those members. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye. You do a great job making sure people doing projects know what they're getting into and before they get to the planning board. Number 40 is the reappointment of the Youth Recreation Assessment Advisory Committee.
And we're adding 3 people onto that list.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
Can we just list the names?
Oh,
In addition to those printed on the,
it's already here.
okay, all right, so these are the new ones, okay, great. So everything's on there already. They're all there, so we're not changing the resolution anyway. I'll do the second. Oh, Troy already had it? Oh. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Orangetown Environmental Committee. I guess I'll make the motion for that one. Great committee. Can I have a second? Second on Environmental Committee? Someone's got a second, the Environmental Committee. Valentine, all in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Reappoint the Office of Emergency Management, which, by the way, the EOC during the St. Patrick's Day Parade was quite an effective operation, and it really showed what that room downstairs can do.
And we got Steve Harris. Steve, why don't you stand up? He's been an instrumental member of this committee that is really, what, 3 years old now? And I think it's one of the most important committees we have in town. I'm the liaison to this committee, and I'll make the motion to reappoint these members.
I'll second
we
that.
got Troy in
Thank
a
you,
second.
Steve, for your service.
All those in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 40, we're done with the committees and the land use boards and so on, and we're moving on to a few other items. Number 43 is certificate of registration for sewer work for Harris and Son for Pearl River. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second from Divany. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
They're not qualified to do sewer work. Let's see.
Showmobile for 3 of them.
You want to combine those, Tom?
Yeah.
All right, I'm having a motion from Tom Divany to combine 44, 45, and 46, all of which are showmobile and important events coming up with the town is supporting. So I have a motion to combine them all,
Motion to combine 44 through 46.
and I second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're all done. All right, number 47 is a training for Vince Matthews in the wastewater treatment plant to go. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second for Troy. All in favor, say aye. Number 48 is our annual open house at the Highway Department, which we'll all be telling folks about. There's going to be popcorn, the good stuff.
Horns. Horns.
And the air horns are going to be loud.
All right, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Tom Divany, second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye. We're looking forward to that event. It's also a good time to mention that spring is also the time for spring cleanups, and we're working together with the Highway Department, our Adopt a Road groups, volunteers, to make sure we get as much trash picked up as possible in the town during the months of April and May. And so you'll be hearing more about that.
Did the chief give us the language for Project Lifesaver?
I don't have it.
All right,
And
so-
unless, if it came in sometime this afternoon when I was in meetings.
Well, one of the things we're supposed to do is allocate $5,000 that we get this into the program. Can we do that?
I'm operating without the
Yeah.
text of that resolution.
Chief is there?
Chief Nolte, are you here?
Can we send a copy to get him?
All right.
Tom, if you just want to say a word about, there was a resolution on Project Lifesaver, which we hadn't, or at least I didn't, or the clerk didn't get the text for it to put on the agenda. Do you want to move with that tonight?
I was going, for the next meeting I have, we're putting it together.
Okay, so would you like to defer it to the next?
Yeah, we have it
Okay.
together. Well, I was just filling out the letter today, send in, we're just trying to figure out exactly how much money we have to ask for.
Okay.
I have to say, St. Patrick's Day Parade, Dewey was working on that, he kind of got backed up on it. I brought it to his attention today, gave him the letter to sign, and so it should be on by your next,
All right. So if we could just make sure we get that on the workshop for April 8th.
April 8th, and it'll be on the regular town.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Chief. And then we have the highway undertaking resolution. Jim, do you want to say a word about this?
This is actually an agreement that the state is requiring us to put together in order for them to issue permits for us working on their roadways. This basically comes up now because it's the final preparations for the Oak Tree Road sidewalk project. We have to make some improvements at the state highway, and before they'll issue a permit, they have to give us this. We haven't done this in a while because we haven't been working on their properties, but with this in place, the other jobs we have on state roads will be covered under this also.
Thank you for that. I think I have a motion from Dennis Troy. I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. All right, so we're set to do work on state roads. Under new business, we have an item from the Parks Department, which is approving an agreement. Eric, if you could just, do you need to tell us anything about this, or are we all set?
I know we emailed a bit back and forth last week about the additional third field of the soccer complex.
Orangetown Mighty Midgets is putting in another field. That they're-
Yeah, I think that's important when it's covered in the paper, that it is the third turf field, because when they did the second turf field, the rumor went around that they were putting a parking lot in there and not another field. And so this is the third turf field, and it's strictly funded by OMM.
It's important that people understand that it's a public-private partnership over there. It's really the only way things can work.
All right, I'll move that.
We have a motion from Divany, second from Dennis. All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Eric, for your work on that. We have also, under new business, the approving of a license agreement between the town and Orange and Rockland for the location of a video camera on a utility pole. So on and so forth, at a cost annually of $20. Motion for Divany, second for myself. All in favor, say aye. Number 53, this is permission granted for Detective Sergeant Michael Shannon to attend a training event on budgeting for law enforcement agencies in New Jersey. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye. We have an audit tonight, and we also have adjournments, and the board, we need to talk about whether or not we need to have talk about any other topics, basically.
Andy, before we go into executive session, I want to clarify one thing. When Keith Brennan, the president of the CSEA, got up there and said that he couldn't contact me for 3 weeks, my office is on Route 303. If you call my office number, my cell phone number is on it. I have 3 different emails, a town email, a personal email. No one, 0, called me directly and asked to meet with me. So I want to clarify that, because he got up there and said he's been trying to get a hold of me for a month. He passes my office every day, and I'm there from 6:30 in the morning to 6 at night. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, I'm not hidden. I'm hiding in plain sight. You can see me as you drive down 303 every single day. So anytime you want to get a hold of me, Keith, now you know where I am. It's the office that says Valentine Electric.
I went to Mr. Dimmy, but I'll call you tomorrow. We'll have a meeting.
No problem.
Thank you. The audit.
Okay, today's audit consists of 3 separate warrants. The first warrant is $235,000 for utilities. The second warrant is one item of $3,500 to replenish our postage meter. The third warrant is 321 vouchers totaling $1.293 million. The main items there are listed. Number 1, $109,000 for additional salt purchases. Item number 3 was $15,000 for emergency snow removals at Blue Hill and Town Hall. Essentially, we had to shovel off to ensure that our buildings didn't collapse because of the weight. So that was a good idea by Eric Gordon to suggest that. Number 13 are civil service premiums of $650,000. And number 19, $71,000 for fuel. Other items are listed there if you have any questions. Reports, so we have the paper copies in hand, but we need to coordinate with them for a date for them to come present to the board.
So it's just to notify the board that we'll be setting up a presentation by the auditors to have a report back.
Yep.
As soon as we can get that scheduled.
We vote on the audit now?
We need to vote on the audit. Someone want to make a motion to approve the audit? As I'll make a second from Troy. All in favor, say aye. So that's the audit.
Andy, on
Yes, sir.
April 8th, I'd like to bring in the CYO 6th grade St. Catherine's state champions. So
That'll be fun.
7:30, you can bring it in before the meeting, it's a workshop, so you can bring them in.
That
I'll-
sounds great.
And I'll get
For recognition, you're going to want
6th grade
certificates?
St. Catherine's boys.
So that's a workshop, and it starts at 8 o'clock. So you should tell them, show up right before 8 o'clock. We do have police commission, 7.
Sorry?
We have police commission as well, starting at 7, just an FYI. So we'll all be here.
All right, so do them at 7:45.
Yep, and let me know if you want any kind of certificates of recognition or anything like
I'll
that.
send you the names.
All right, that'd be great. All right, yeah, please send that to me so that I have it in my email and can put them onto the agenda properly. Now, is there anything else?
There's a few comics from, that went to school, and if you think back, you might remember them, but Michael McCormick, went to Pearl River, and we're doing the adjournments. I just wanted to mention that there's, mass, I believe, will be at St. Margaret's on Friday.
Yeah, it's Chrissy Warner's husband. You know Chrissy? Chrissy Warner, the provost of the,
Right.
House of Ireland in 2000. It's a shock.
Yeah, that was a shock.
Any other new business we need to take care of? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. We have a few people we want to recognize in memory of Dr. Alvin Barron, longtime resident of Pearl River and golfer at Blue Hill Golf Course. Agnes Hawatch from Pearl River. Michael McCormick, formerly of Pearl River. And I have this from Eric Gorton, town employee. Mark, his father-in-law, Charles Nairbass, who was an Army veteran, World War II, 90-year resident of Pearl River, and father-in-law to Mark Albert from our Parks Department, remembering him as well as we adjourn tonight. Motion to adjourn. Can I have a second? Troy, all in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Thanks so much for coming out. We didn't, I asked.